Hello and welcome to Kody and Korbin Have a Podcast, the show where two former roommates
And they were
talk about a new movie every week. But this week on the show, we're talking about a ton of movies, new and old. It's time for some mid-year recommendations. It's summer. We want to share some things for you guys to watch. As always, I'm your host, Korbin Zvokel, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kody Webb. Kody, do you have some good stuff to rec today?
Well, I got a lot of good stuff to write today. Going to be a fun episode, I think. Really going to show off our taste in television and movies, I think, pretty well. Obviously, I have much better taste, but yeah, like you said, summer, good time to start watching stuff. Usually on break. I'm still working, which is always fun. But definitely.
Yeah. But you know, people are traveling. Who wants to go outside? You stay inside and watch stuff.
If you go outside, honestly, what are you doing in your life? But yeah, I think we got a lot of good stuff to bring to the table today, so I'm excited.
So the way we decided to do this, we're recommending a ton of stuff in this episode, and I think that allows us to share a wide breadth of things that people might like. So I think there's something for everybody in this episode. And then we also decided to break it down kind of by streaming service. So we wanted to, if you had a certain streaming service, you could go to this section of the episode and listen to what our recommendations are for that service and then go to a different one. So the main ones we're doing are Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Paramount Plus. And then at the end, we'll throw out some other random suggestions from maybe some other services. But for each of those, we're doing individually a TV show and a movie. So it'll be 2 TV shows, 2 movies. And then additionally, just shouting out a movie that's also on the streaming service that we've talked about on the podcast before. So you can, if we've talked about it, you can assume that it's a decent movie. We tried to pick the better ones. And then if you want to do, you can go back and listen to the episode, but you don't have to. It's just suggestions for more movies. So basically, each of those streaming services, we're going to have 5 different things you can watch from them. And then if you go to the description of the episode, the timestamps, you can see Amazon Prime will be at this time. And then you can jump to it if that's what you want to do, or you can listen to everything. Cody, was there any specific strategy you had, philosophy when you were making these picks, or did you just go for all your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little bit of strategy. Obviously, especially me, I feel like I've talked about some of the same shows, maybe a bunch. So maybe not picking those, maybe pick something different that I haven't, raved about before. And obviously just like stuff that we've talked about before on the pod as well, try and stay away from that. But I mean, in general, a lot of these streaming sites, whatever devices, have like a lot of good stuff. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint. I definitely have like a lot of honorable mentions as well that I'm going to shout out. So it was kind of hard, but yeah, sort of just like staying away from things I've talked about before in the past was probably my main thing.
Yeah, I tried to take that into consideration as well. Obviously, we talk about so many movies, it's hard to pick something we've never talked about. So there will be some overlap, but maybe stuff that didn't get as much love as I wanted to give it in the first place. Also, just I tried not to pick things that like everybody's seen or everybody's watched. Like, when it came to HBO Max, we'll get there, but like picking a TV show, I could have been like Euphoria, because I think that's a great TV show, but like everyone knows about Euphoria, everybody's watched it. I'm not saying that these are like the hidden picks, the hidden gems that nobody's seen,
right?
But it's maybe some things that you don't know about and you can go check out. The other thing, we are suggesting TV shows, which we haven't really gotten into TV talk too much on the pod in the past.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, we haven't.
Are we going to start doing that more?
Yeah. Maybe we are. We might have something in the works.
Wink, wink.
To talk about some television in the
exactly.
future.
And,
so a little foray into that.
Yeah, and everybody knows I'm more of a TV guy than Korbin, I think. And wink, wink. Maybe something's coming in the future.
Yeah, and this is cool because I don't watch a ton of TV, so I'd love to hear the recommendations that a true TV expert like you has. Let's cut the chit chat and get into it. What do you think?
Let's do it.
And before we get into recommending movies and everything, I actually have a recommendation about an app. Kody, when you go to the movie theater, what's the worst thing that can happen at the movie theater?
I'd say probably your phone going off.
What about what if you're
it's
not what I'm setting up.
Somebody like is talking next to you.
What about like a personal problem that's like always? See, I feel like you don't do it.
I gotta take a piss.
Yeah, you got to take a piss. That is a serious issue, and I want to introduce you to an app called RunPee. Are you familiar with it?
I'm actually not.
So this is actually a life-changing thing, and I'm surprised I've never shared this with anybody, but I've been using this app for probably 3-4 years, and you can maybe say it's a little nerdy, it's a little goofy, but It's essentially an app that tells you the best time to go to the bathroom during a movie. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's good. Is this an ad or no? Can I talk shit about this?
You can talk shit about it. It's not an ad.
Oh, okay. I thought we had a sponsor all of a sudden. You got confused. That sounds pretty dumb. So I'm probably just not going to go to the bathroom during the movie. But yeah.
Oh, so you're a hater. So I feel like, okay, Elvis is a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. You get a big drink. Sometimes you got to go to the bathroom sometimes, right? What this movie does, it's a free app, but they have these things called P coins that you can purchase, or you can literally just watch an ad for 30 seconds to get a free one. So that's what I do. I go to the movie, I watch the 30-second ad, whatever. But then you can go to the movie like the black phone and you can click on it. And first thing it tells you, is there anything extra at the end of the credits? So that's always good to know. Do you need to stay after the movie? Is there a post-credit scene? So that information's there for you. Okay. Then there's a people's poll. So you can look and see, what did people rate this movie on this app? So fellow users. And they do an interesting thing with the rating where they rate it before the movie and then they rate it after the movie. So you can see if it actually exceeds expectations or maybe it's worse than expectations. There's a movie review from somebody that they have on their site that actually they endorse. You can go to their IMDb page. You can see the Rotten Tomatoes on there. Then you can view the P times is what they're referred to as. And it gives you exact minute in the movie when you should go to the bathroom. So there's one at 19 minutes and 10 seconds in the black phone, and there's another one at 57. And then it tells you if they think they're the better ones or the worst ones, how much time you have. And then there's a little synopsis of what you miss. So you can go to the bathroom, you can read the synopsis, and you come back, and it's like you never missed anything in the movie.
Okay.
Try and pick times where there's not necessarily like important story information. It's just, you could miss this if you're going to miss something.
The more you describe it, the more I do like it. I'm not going to lie. But
you can set a little timer so it'll vibrate in your pocket if you want at the specific moment. If you know you're going to have to.
That is creative. And if you have a small bladder, it's probably very effective. But I really like the expectation stuff too. Sort of rating it before, rating it after. And then if it's got a bunch of social stuff on it, I mean, it sounds like a decent little app. Are you big going to the bathroom during the movie guy?
I am, unfortunately. Okay. I think I do have a small.
That makes sense because that is cool. Like it gives you the actual plot.
I definitely.
You don't feel like you missed out anything either.
I mean, even if because you can look at that. I always use it to see if there's anything extra in the credits. Because that's like also the huge thing now. Like you can expect with a Marvel movie, but fucking every movie you got to check because you don't want to miss something. Honestly, they're like even Elvis. It was like there's nothing after the credits, but there's like 10 minutes of songs that are done by other people. So if you want to stay and listen to that, you can. So it gives you that kind of information. And it also, the other thing it does is if you're late to the movie, it'll give you a synopsis of the first 3 minutes too. You can read. So, I mean, there's a lot of utility.
I could have used that a couple times. Yeah. Not gonna lie.
So
Uncut Gems. I never saw the first 10 minutes of that movie.
You could have been using it. So that's my recommendation. And we can get into the TV and movie recs now. All right. So let's start with the behemoth, Netflix. Everybody at least has a Netflix account. They may not be paying for it, but they have access to one. It seems like. So Kody, why don't you take it away? TV show on Netflix. What's your recommendation?
Absolutely. This is probably my longest honorable mention list. I think Netflix does have a lot of good television. But yeah, Netflix is kind of become like this dark horse in a sense, kind of just running away. Nobody else wants it anymore. I don't even pay for it anymore. I use my brother's account. Thanks, Jason. Shout out, Jason. But yeah, so my recs, the show I am going to go for is going to be Seinfeld. So I'm just going to go straight off the
classic.
bat. Yeah, this probably is my like most popular, just in general, pick of the day. So might as well start it off. Just comedy wise, it's hard to beat this. I would rank this in The Office probably like top tier stuff. Everything else like 5 feet below. And I mean, the characters, you're supposed to hate them, but somehow they're just so lovable. George Costanza is my favorite character by far. Love that guy. Elaine, Kramer, Jerry, the whole crew. Even throw Newman in there, why not? And then you just have all these one-off side characters. The soup Nazi. There's just so many like memorable episodes that I love. And I think it's the classic. The same thing with The Office is you can I don't even know if they do this on Netflix anymore, but it used to be able to you can hit a random episode and it just goes there and you just watch it. I think those two shows are one of the only two for me where I can consistently do that just because I think the consistency is there. Yeah.
And it's the thing about Seinfeld is I've never sat down and watched every single episode, but I've seen a ton of episodes because in my house growing up, it was always on like TBS and it'd be like, 8 o'clock weeknight, turn on Seinfeld. So I've seen so many episodes. My parents enjoyed it a ton. They watched it when it was on. But the thing about it that you mentioned, it's like a cartoon almost, where it's like, yes, there's some storylines and like things that happen, but you can pick literally any random episode and like you're not gonna be confused about what's going on. It's like they kind of stand alone each episode. There's not really any character progression or character growth. They're all terrible people who never change over the course of 8-9 seasons.
Yeah.
But it's the classic for comedy. You think it still holds up?
I do. And I mean, there's some like outdated references and stuff, but I mean, in general, it always just goes like the most slapstick way possible, which is right up my alley. And I mean, it does have a similar format in a lot of episodes where you have like two characters together and they're doing a side quest, and then the other two or three are together and they're doing a side quest, and then somehow it all ends up together in just this massive mess, which again, just like the group dynamic as a whole, I think is pretty hard to find like that solid of relationships between every single one of them.
So Seinfeld doesn't have a good ending.
Doesn't have a good ending.
Because you're recommending a lot. This is a big investment for people.
The general populace, I would say, would agree with me in saying that the ending's not great. Also, like the first season's not great. The first season and the last season are kind of mid. Everything else is
no Newman,
good.
Man. We need Newman. That's
that's true. The finale, to spoil a little bit, they bring back like a lot of the one-off side character, like I was talking about for this big finale, and it's just super underwhelming. Honestly, the whole premise is maybe it's too dumb for its own good, and I think like even the cast didn't like it too much when it came out originally. But still a great show. Still like I think it's 10 seasons of comedy, which is not easy to do. So if you throw a couple in the bin, it is what it is. But still, like overall, just like episode to episode, I think it's pretty unmatched.
And they're like 20-minute episodes too, so it's easy to get through, right?
Oh, big time binge here. But and then I did want to shout out. I got a list here of just other television properties on Netflix I am a big fan of. Start off with the obvious ones: Stranger Things, fucking gold.
Today, the day that this is airing, Volume 2 is out.
Yeah, Umbrella Academy. Still haven't watched any of the third season. Season 1 and 2, great. Squid Game, only one season. One of my favorite TV shows last year. And then some heavy hitters here. Breaking Bad. Oh, mama. I really wanted to pick this one, but I feel like that's the obvious pick. And then Schitt's Creek and BoJack Horseman as well. Just very, very good television. A lot of good stuff from Netflix. They're lacking in movies to foreshadow that, I think, a little bit. But, I mean, I could have picked anything from that list and talked about it for a good 10 minutes. So, yeah, a lot of recs from me there. But I do want to throw it over to you and hear what you have. I doubt it's anything I just listed off there, honestly.
No, well, also I do want to say an honorable mention shout out is New Girl. When it comes to like a that kind of comedy show, I'm a huge New Girl fan. Doesn't have a great ending, but my main recommendation is I feel like within the groups of people that I hang out and talk to, I don't know a ton of people that have watched or are interested in the show, but it's Sex Education. We've done the episode on Ender's Game. Asa Butterfield, the Butter Boy, is the star of this show, along with Gillian Anderson playing his mom, who obviously is classic TV fame, The X-Files. Emma Mackey, and then also the newest pick for Doctor Who, the newest Doctor is on the show as well. It's a British TV show. It's weirdly set in like this anachronist, like it's almost the 80s, almost the 90s, but it's modern day. And it just deals with a ton of topics that young people don't often get good representation in media about. It talks about sex, talks about gender and sexuality and finding yourself. And it's this really cool and accurate portrayal of, I think, what youth is and the questions that you deal with when you're trying to come of age. And there's been 3 seasons and they've all been really good. Asa Butterfield kind of plays this neurotic, awkward center protagonist in it all, but there's a great supporting cast around him of interesting characters with diverse backgrounds, and every season they've continued to add more characters and more layers, and I'm excited. The show is continuing on for its 4th season, and I really look forward to it. I would recommend anybody check it out. It's a little bit of a shocking show at times. If you pull up the first episode, it is just a full sex scene. Maybe not something you sit and watch with your parents, but if you can kind of get past that like shock value of a lot of what it is, I think at first, and get into it, there's a really heartwarming series of storylines in there. Yeah, it's fantastic. I feel like it's really underseen because everybody that seems to watch it seems to really enjoy it. So
yeah, I haven't seen it, but from the outside looking in, it does look like a very good cast, I would say. You got the girl who looks like Margot Robbie. I think she's very good. And then the doctor, I want to hear you try and say his name, if I'm being honest.
I admit I did not. I should have done some research.
I mean, obviously, like all of these people in the show are like getting cast in like bigger things, which I think is pretty telling of like a good young cast, young core, whatever you want to call it. I can't talk still. Eventually, I might come around to watching the show because I mean, I've seen basically everything else on Netflix. So
his name is Shuti Gatwa.
Yeah,
so there you
good
go.
guy, and
and very excited for his future.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's good casting.
I used to watch Doctor Who. I've kind of fallen out of it since the Peter Capaldi and so on. But that might be something to bring me back to it, honestly, because I'm a huge fan of his in the show, and it's really great, really smart writing. I think there's a reason Netflix has canceled a lot of shows, and this one continues to come back for a reason, and I think they got it right. Let's go on to movies. Cody, what's your movie pick for Netflix?
Yeah, I got a great rec. There's so many. Well, there's not that many movies on Netflix anymore. One of the reasons they're dropping off, but there is a lot of one specific genre of movies, and it's very likely because they gave them like a 10-picture deal in the past 5 years here. You know who I'm talking about. It's The Sandman, Adam Sandler, all-time great. The selection on Netflix is okay. My pick is going to be Happy Gilmore, just because I think that is my favorite comedy of all time. Fun fact, if you don't know this already, I think I've said this before, but I was going to pick Happy Gilmore for my first movie pick of KHAP instead of Princess Bride. But I backed out last second and went Princess Bride because somehow Corbin's never seen that great movie. But Happy Gilmore, it brings together two of my favorite things, which is comedy and sports movies. And it does it so well. This is primetime Adam Sandler as well, early 90s. You throw in Danny Glover. You throw in a great villain, such a memorable villain, Shooter McGavin, just so hateable. And then you throw in a young Claire Dunphy as well for Modern Family, a great love interest, probably one of the best from Sandman's career. But, I could quote this movie up and down. It's sort of like, our roommate Vano, he can literally say like every word to the Dark Knight, which is super annoying. So if you ever watch Happy Gilmore with me, that's basically the same vibes. But I mean, you got Chubbs losing his hand to the alligator, Chubbs' death, Chubbs showing up in heaven at the end with the alligator. I mean, it's full circle stuff here. It's really like created a cool subgenre of like just like sports movie fans too, especially with golf. Because every time like at a golf outing, you see somebody do the Happy Gilmore, or you see somebody do like the Shooter McGavin hands after they make a putt or something. Just like small things like that, I think is really fun. And I think this movie has like built a small community around it, which I like a lot as well. But I mean, as far as Adam Sandler goes, he doesn't make the best movies. I definitely know that. And I'm sure everybody else knows that too. But if you haven't seen this, I would actually like genuinely check it out, because I think it is very funny, and just the vibes it gives off. Like one of the first scenes is just Sandler sitting in a batting cage, just taking balls off the dough. He's got to toughen up for hockey season. The hockey season, like the hockey scenes, might be some of the funniest in the movie too, which is really, really ironic because it's a golf movie. But yeah, no, love this movie.
Happy Gilmore is actually great. I checked it out a few weeks ago, and I had never seen it, and it holds up. It's pretty funny. It's not the greatest movie ever made, but I think it's a decent, fun little sports movie. And
the guy,
I'm coming around on Adam Sandler recently. I gotta say,
in the boat who always yells, "Jackass!" Great guy. Needs to be in more stuff.
I actually just watched. Speaking of Adam Sandler, his stand-up special that he had produced for Netflix called 100% Fresh. Not bad, actually.
Really?
If you're looking for a little stand-up special to do, it's pretty well produced. The way it's cut together, it integrates a lot of different sets into one special. But it's fun. There's a really touching song, tribute to Chris Farley at the end of it. Another touching song to his wife, and some funny joke. A lot of great music stuff. Like, I think maybe just because I haven't done the whole like SNL deep dive on Sandler. Like, I knew he did music. There's like this is like probably 50-60% music.
Wow.
And it's some pretty good stuff. There's moments that don't quite work with me. It's Sandler. But there's some funny laughs, and it's kind of cute. Another Sandler Netflix movie that just came out, Hustle. Check that out. That's definitely a recommendation. And then Murder Mystery is one that he did with I think Jennifer Aniston.
I haven't seen that.
That's also not too terrible. So there's some okay ones on Netflix. My my real recommendation, though, the one that I want to shout out. I have not seen this movie. This is the first movie I have seen it.
Oh, I was gonna say you haven't seen it.
This is the first movie I saw at the beginning of 2021. So it's been a year and a half since I've seen it, is what I was trying to say. But it's funny, it's in the conversation. Jurassic Park is around. Sam Neill's back. The movie is Hunt for the Wilder People, and Sam Neill is in this movie. Also, Thor Love and Thunder comes out next week, and this is a Taika Waititi movie. Yeah. So there's the little connection there. It's also got Julian Dennison, who's the little kid from Deadpool 2. And this is just like this really, it's set in New Zealand. So it's kind of back to the Taika Waititi roots a little bit. It's very much in his realm of humor. So if you like the Thor humor, if you like the Jojo Rabbit humor, it's very much like that. It's that sensibility, but it's kind of also this like pseudo father-son story about people out in the wilderness, like trying to find their way and connect. And it's really fun and it's interesting. And I don't know, it's a cute movie. It's Taika Waititi. If you like that thing, then if you like Thor, if you like Jojo Rabbit, you would enjoy this movie as well. It's a heartfelt story. Good little comedy.
Another good pick. 2 for 2 here on stuff I haven't seen. So I might actually have to follow your picks. I didn't even look at your list. Probably everything you recommend, I haven't even seen, funny enough. But Taika, good guy. I'm very excited for Thor 4, to be fair. I think Christian Bale is going to be absolutely insane. And
early reviews are out, you know.
I think it's okay.
It's okay. I've heard it's a little short, which is interesting. There's been some really, so I think it's under. I think it's like an hour 45 maybe. Yeah. Either way, I've heard it's very short for as much as they're trying to do. Considering they've had some very long phase for MCU movies, like Spider-Man was like 2.5 hours.
They kind of did the same thing with Multiverse of Madness, where they cut a bunch of stuff. Like they cut.
That movie's still. I
don't understand. Just let it be long. Everybody likes these movies. I'll sit in a theater for like 3 hours. I don't really give a shit, dude. So I don't really understand that. I love to see 3 hours of Christian Bale and Thor, fighting over gods on planets and stuff. So I really don't understand that. But yep, MCU's dead, dude. Kevin Feige, get him off the
get him into Star Wars.
Well, I don't know about that either, but Star Wars is its own mess. But
he's making a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, so it's Taika Waititi. who isn't making a Star Wars movie? Ryan Johnson's making like 10 movies evidently. So
Patty Jenkins.
I'll buy it when I see a trailer. How about that?
Fair enough. Marky Mark.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't leave out my boy Wolverine. This movie, if you actually haven't watched this episode of KHAP, I would, because I think it is a good one.
And if you haven't seen this movie, go watch this movie.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, obviously watch that first. But
I'm shipping up to Boston. Great Murphys, dude.
This movie's ridiculous. I mean, if this was on the board, I mean, I'd take this movie over Happy Gilmore 99 out of 100 times, and I fucking love Happy Gilmore. So, I'm not the Falcon Rat, Korbin, but that's all I know. Great fucking movie.
Let's move on. And speaking of Marvel and Star Wars, and it's Disney Plus. That's our next thing. So why don't I get us started with TV show? And now this, I do have to say, this is a light recommendation because this is still currently airing, and my recommendation is Ms. Marvel. Now, it's an MCU property, so realistically, like, how unseen is it? But I know it's their lowest performing TV show that they've had thus far. And honestly, I think it's one of their better ones. Kody, what are your early thoughts on Ms. Marvel so far?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great rec, honestly. And so far, I mean, again, it's only like been 4 episodes or something.
I mean, we're 4 of 6, so there's only 2 left.
True. Again, with this stuff, make this goddamn longer. I don't understand that, but 6 episodes I don't think is enough for a TV show. But so far, I have enjoyed it a lot, and it does.
WandaVision was 9. It was so much better because WandaVision was 9.
I know, and the first 3 were all just like that one niche thing, which is so cool. I mean, I couldn't recommend this show high enough either. I think just the cast, again, to harp on that. If you got a good cast in a TV show, by the way, I'm gonna like it. The depth that they give to like each new character they bring in, I think is sick, and sort of just like the relationship of the main 3, and then you have what's the guy's name? I don't remember. But I'm not a big fan of the villains, if I'm being honest. The one kid who she has like a crush on or whatever.
Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron. There it is. He's cool. He kind of like turns on whoever. Anyways, I don't understand. Is he like their son or something?
Yeah.
Anyways, good show.
It's getting a little bit bogged down in the
But
all of it. Yeah.
the tone and the production value, I think, is perfect for Miss Marvel.
And I think it's actually, I do have to shout out. I think it is really cool representation to think about. Like 10 years ago, would we ever have a Muslim superhero? Maybe 5 years. Like I don't know. I think it's very cool that we're getting to this point. This, kind of looking at this South Asian Indian subcontinent. I mean, we got a little bit of it in Internals, which was cool stuff with Kingo doing the Bollywood stuff. Marvel, while it's a ton of content, and I don't know if we need all of this content and all these TV shows, and we're kind of getting overflowed with it. On the positive side is, if they're going to do a ton of content, at least they're doing a ton of content that's bringing in more representation. And this is cool because it's a young character. It's a young Muslim character, South Asian character. And she's also just like a teenager living in America. And it's just a really cool story. I think it's fantastic that we're getting to that point. We'll probably do a rating of all the MCU TV shows at some point, maybe, or like a ranking or something. But I would say this is definitely up there for me. Compared, I like it a lot better than what they did with Moon Knight.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I'd probably
have to see where it ends, but
I'd probably put it third behind Loki and WandaVision, which funny enough are a couple of my honorable mentions here. And then I do have one other honorable mention, which just came to Disney Plus actually. Daredevil, great show. Evidently, they're doing a 4th season, so excited for that. Korbin, you know what my main rec is here.
You're a huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. guy.
I could not talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I'm going to talk about it here shortly. But great show. The first season, pretty fucking terrible, if I'm being honest. But watch it anyways, just so you get to know the characters and everything. But it's bad. When it first aired live, I remember I watched, I think, the first 2 episodes. It's god awful, and I didn't watch again, I think, until season 3, which is actually very, very good stuff. Season 1, not good. Season 2, okay. Season 3, season 4, and season 5, I think, is actually very, very good television. And then the last season I like a lot as well. They do another thing where they do a one-off season where they're in space and it's fucking terrible. But you can skip that one. If you pick your moments in the show, it is about as good about MCU comic book stuff you can get, I think. So Clark Gregg, and then as well, you get the Inhumans blast, which is season 3, which makes the show, I think. You got what's her name? Is her name Chloe Kim? I don't know. That's not her name, is it? It's the girl who plays, Quake. Badass. She should be in a lot more stuff. I think she dated Logan Paul. It's probably why shouldn't do too much after that. But the cast is actually very good. Fitzsimmons, so lovable. Even have a great villain with Ward.
Chloe Bennett.
Chloe Bennett. What is that? She's a snowboarder. She won gold. Anywho, this show is great, and I'm actually a big fan. Season 3 specifically has a couple one-off episodes where Simmons is stuck in space, and then you have as well the Inhuman big twist on Ming-Na Wen's character, which is also just phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal, just specific storytelling, from a comic standpoint. So, if you're a nerd, I think you'll love the show. So I couldn't recommend it enough. And
this is
just
what I'll
talking
say.
about it, I think I am watching because I love the show so much. Yeah,
you got too many things that you're trying to watch at once. Too many TV shows.
I actually do.
I think the thing that especially if you're like an early MCU fan, maybe you're not as interested in what they're doing right now, you could definitely go back and really enjoy this. But I think somewhere where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was really successful in the early seasons was kind of the way they were able to integrate it and build it around what was happening in the larger MCU movies. Because there's specific moments. I remember when I was first watching the show, when Thor comes out, you can watch the first 5 episodes and then Thor happens and then there's references to it. Chris Hemsworth's not showing up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., obviously, but there are direct references to the movies, and they're set in the timeline of literally it'll be airing mid-season. A movie will come out and then we'll get the references afterwards, which are just something I think is really cool that we don't see with these new TV shows, at least in the way that you would like to see it, I guess. The connections, while they all feel like they're in the same universe, they don't really feel like they're connected or having it. The Eternals, there's a Celestial in the sea at this point in the modern MCU, and it's not been even mentioned or thought about. And if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still on, it would probably be a huge plot point or something that stemming from that. So even though they said it was very in the later seasons, Kevin Feige and everyone was very clear, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon and it's completely separate. There's still some cool connections, whether or not you want to consider it canon. the storylines interweave in a fun way that feels more comic booky than kind of what we're getting now. Because that's the thing about comic books. You could have a panel where like Spider-Man just like swings in or something. And like, you can't do that in comic movies all the time. You can't just have Spider-Man come in for a frame. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think, creates a better interconnectedness, which is cool.
That's a good point. I think early on in the show, I think maybe they leaned on that too much as well. When you find that perfect medium, I think it is very good. And it kind of makes me want to just like watch everything in order of the MCU through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So kind of start off with that Thor in season 1, because Sif shows up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then season 2 is a lot revolved around like Captain America, Winter Soldier, obviously with the fall of
Hydra stuff. Yeah.
So I mean, that I kind of just want to throw that in of rewatching the show, just rewatch some of the best MCU movies that like tie in as well. But I definitely back what you're saying.
No, absolutely. Do you want to move over to our movie picks?
Absolutely. And we're gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go because I'm gonna go back to back.
Oh, okay.
Screw you. I have a few honorable mentions. First off, all the Muppets movies are on Disney Plus, so you can't really go wrong with any of those.
Hey, and shout out if you're listening to this podcast, you watch the Muppet movies. Our boys, Rough Cut Retrospective, they're doing a Muppets episode today, so you can go listen to that.
I saw on Letterboxd they were rewatching all the classics. A couple of Muppets in Space ratings I disagreed with, but the newest
Justice for Muppets in Space.
Yeah, exactly. The newest The Muppets movie, Jason Segel, Amy Adams. That's phenomenal.
Pretty good.
Stuff. Yeah, very good. I mean, I think it's at like 99% of Rotten Tomatoes. So actually check that out if you haven't seen it. But sort of like a dual pick I have here. And I just found out these are on Disney Plus because it was a couple months ago. I was trying to find out where you could watch some of the X-Men movies at. Because I'm a big X-Men guy. And evidently First Class and Days of Future Past are both on Disney Plus now, which actually went onto the app. So I was like, I don't even believe that. I don't believe anything on Google anymore, and they are there. So I am definitely going to watch those in the next couple of weeks because it's just something I wanted to revisit.
I mean, they really got a lot of them. They have The Last Stand. They have the first one. Everything. They have Apocalypse. I mean, yeah, they got them all. Even Origins.
I know. So good job from Disney Plus there. Finally, bought out, I guess, Fox.
Capitalism, man.
Yeah, but I mean, they already did buy out Fox, but whatever.
They finally got the titles.
Days of Future Past is what I wanted to specifically talk about, just because I think it does something sort of in a similar sense to No Way Home, of just the achievement of bringing these two casts together so successfully. It's kind of ridiculous for the timing of the X-Men as well. And to make an actual like good movie around that too is surprising for the X-Men. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously you start out in the future with the original cast. Magneto, Storm, Professor X, obviously Wolverine, but I mean, you get some of these cool new mutants that like we're not going to see much of just because they have dope powers and they would only survive in this ridiculous apocalypse because they have unbelievable powers. Also, the Iceman's one of my favorite characters, fucking sick. But and then we go back to the past with these actors. The original cast is great, but the new cast is so good. James McAvoy, Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender. You do not get a much better trio that in I think modern movies, just from an acting standpoint. And to do it in a comic book movie, I think is ridiculous. So obviously, like most of the emotional stuff is on that side of things, which is smart writing wise. Which again, you don't hear that much in the X-Men franchise. But and then the mending of everything together through Wolverine, obviously that's a great choice as well. Hugh Jackman's got to be in the movie. Plot points, you can. It's not the tightest script or anything, but I think it's just something like I can put on at any time and really enjoy. So that's definitely my big rec. First Class is also great. And obviously that's stemming back to the new cast and everything, fucking Magneto hunting Nazis. Who doesn't want to see that? It's Michael Fassbender, bro. But yeah, no, big X-Men guy, but Days of Future Past is, I think, criminally underrated in the comic book world.
I think it's my third favorite X-Men movie, maybe. I don't know, fourth favorite. It's decent. Check it out. I'm a First Class apologist.
I like First Class a lot too. Yeah.
And X2, man.
X2 is good, but not that good.
All right, so we're gonna go over to my pick, which is a new release movie that came out this year. I think I've talked about it on the pod before, but it is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And what is there to say about this movie? I mean, Kody, you haven't checked it out yet, have you?
I sadly have not. I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about it though. I've seen a lot of scenes and stuff.
This is the thing about this movie, and I won't harp on it for too long because I feel like it's done the rounds on Twitter, but it's essentially like what they were trying to do with Space Jam: A New Legacy, but done effectively and like in an actual funny way. And I don't know if that helps because you've got John Mulaney and Andy Samberg is like at the center of it, and it was directed by one of the Lonely Island dudes. I don't know which one, Akiva. And so like it's like that kind of like it's good humor from like smart people, and it integrates those characters like you've probably seen on Twitter, like the ugly Sonics and the various Seth Rogen voice characters and whatever the fuck else. It's a fun story. Children will enjoy it. Adults will enjoy it. There's stuff for everybody. Some good laughs. And it's kind of like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 2022.
Yeah. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit's a classic. So Christopher Lloyd, can't beat it. But I do want to check it out eventually.
Chippendale, classic. And now, finally, we got to do our previous pod episode. We've done a couple movies on Disney Plus. Kody, one of Kody's favorites, Chicken Little. That's a Disney Plus extravaganza.
That's another classic there, yeah.
But we decided we would recommend Princess Bride, which who hasn't seen The Princess Bride? Well, I hadn't, is the thing. I had not seen it before we did the episode over it. But, I think it's a classic, fun little story. It's iconic. You've got that scene of the goblet and the poison and Wallace Shawn, man.
Wallace Shawn, there you go. Inconceivable. So quotable, so good. Korbin does not like this movie much, if you can't tell. It's definitely one that I would recommend, a childhood favorite of mine. And yeah, I mean, this actually is a classic, I think. And I could rattle off some quotes, but I don't really want to. So I'll stick with inconceivable marriage. I like that one too. All right, let's move on.
Okay, let's go to HBO Max now. And Kody, what's your TV show from HBO Max?
I don't remember when I got HBO Max, probably like a few months ago, but I've been on a big TV binge through there. So I am still getting through a couple things. I mentioned last episode I'm watching Succession, which is evidently good. But it took me a while to get through Game of Thrones. So that's on my honorable mention. God damn, the last season's terrible. But it is a good show. I would still highly recommend it, obviously. But my pick is Impractical Jokers, Korbin. I'll tell you what, I've picked a couple comedies today. I think this is my last comedy, honestly. But we saved the best for last. This show is the peak of both New York and comedy television, I think. There you go. I got to laugh at him. But, I mean, the Jokers, you got Joe, the leader, Murr, the weirdo, Sal, I don't even know how to describe him. And then Q, the former firefighter, which is a great guy. But great dynamic. You really can't get, I think, a better group of guys together. And then they just do the dumbest stuff. That's pretty much the show. So if you haven't seen it, they made 10 seasons of it. Never gets old. Go check it out.
What are your thoughts on the dude leaving?
Well, yeah, Joe, he left for the last season. I haven't been able to check it out because I haven't watched some other stuff. It's probably
we can't speak post Joe leaving.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not as good because Joe's the funniest one. So that kind of sucks. But I think they were bringing in guests like Eric Andre, and I'm sure it's okay. I just haven't seen it yet. So no comment.
I have a question for you before we move on to my TV show. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Now that's a TV show on HBO Max. You ever watch that?
I've not seen that show.
Big Seinfeld guy. I've heard it's better than Seinfeld.
I would actually watch it, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. Larry David, he's funny, but
I think Larry David was the brains of. I think he was the brains of Seinfeld. I think that's common knowledge. Everyone knows it. Yeah. Jerry didn't do anything. He just stood up there and said, "What's the deal with airplane food?" It's a really
That's
good.
Funny though. That's funny.
It's a really good Jerry Seinfeld impression.
Maybe I should check out Curb. It's probably better than Practical Jokers.
It's not my recommendation, but my recommendation is a show we've talked about on the podcast because we watched it together actually a few months ago. But it's Peacemaker. I feel like Suicide Squad lost money for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Came out at an interesting time. I don't know. Well, there's a lot of haters, a lot of Zack Snyder fans that really hate on Suicide Squad movie. I think it's a pretty good movie, but it's not as good as it's not the best thing James Gunn has done. And I think Peacemaker is actually a lot more successful than Suicide Squad. No, you don't think so? I think in the TV format, and I think with that specific character, James Gunn was allowed to have a lot more fun, do an R-rated thing. I mean, he did that with Suicide Squad 2, but I just think it was not as successful as Guardians 1.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think Guardians 1 is much better, but I think the Suicide Squad is a very good movie. But Peacemaker's good as well, but I just don't like the Suicide Squad slander out here, you know?
I don't know. There's things I liked about it a lot. I still have actually only watched it once. Maybe I should give it another rewatch.
Best,
I didn't love that stuff. But Peacemaker's fun. It's an interesting. It's just John Cena playing the character that I think John Cena was born to play. Also an interesting supporting cast, kind of a weird thing, and a good little fun cameo at the end from some superheroes.
I really like Vigilante, actually. I think that was probably my favorite character. And I like the Eagle, too. The Eagle effects are actually, like, very good, I thought, for the show. And it's just, like, a really dumb character.
Eagly, bro.
Eagly. Big Eagly guy. But yeah, John Cena is actually good in it, which is weird as well.
Exactly. I think that's the thing that makes it. It's like, he's actually decent. The thing is, John Cena is a great person. So shout out to John Cena as a person, but it's cool to see him not be a terrible actor and something.
Yeah,
so it's great. Peacemaker. Let's throw it over to movies. Why don't you hit it first?
Yeah,
staying in the MCU vein.
What? I think it's actually a pretty good selection of movies. My honorable mentions, I do have The Aviator, which I think is a Leo underrated performance, and also 12 Years a Slave, which is obviously just a very good movie. Trio Tadjivor and
Lupita Nyong'o.
Lupita Nyong'o, yeah.
Brad Pitt.
Tough names, but
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, his role I don't like so much. But my pick is Chef. I think another very underrated movie.
Kind of like in the MCU vein with Jon Favreau and Robert Downey.
Oh, there you go. You knew my pick. I forget whatever. Okay, Jon Favreau of MCU fame, actually, if you didn't know that.
And Robert Downey Jr.
In it. Yeah, RDJ is in it for a little bit, which is really funny. But no, Jon Favreau, I think, is great in this movie. He stars and directs. I feel like it's kind of his passion project a little bit. It's just like a love for food. And it's just, every time I watch it, I feel like you're just in that great mood the entire time, which is hard to do for a movie. It's it's the best feel-good movie I think that I've seen, which is saying a lot. But great film. If you like food in general, if you're a food guy like me, half of it's just like making food. So great movie. Jon Favreau, performance-wise, though, I think is very good as well.
Do you feel bad when you like eat something afterwards and it's not as good as the food you were just watching?
Well, no, I just know I can't really cook like that. Yeah. I can't even pretend, so there's no point in even get my hopes up. But yeah.
Kody, you're an expert chef. Don't let anybody deny you of that fact.
Oh, appreciate that, man. What's your movie pick? I feel like it is kind of a deep selection as well. Like you can kind of go any way you want to.
Yeah, HBO Max is the place to get movies. I will say that. There's a ton of fantastic movies on there. You really can't go wrong. Classics and new films, a lot of Warner Brothers library. But I actually did go for a new film, and it's a 2022 release from a favorite of yours, favorite of mine, Steven Soderbergh, the man who makes like 6 movies a year at this point. But he's got a lot of interesting movies on streaming. Actually, he has High Flying Bird and The Laundromat that are on Netflix. He's got No Sudden Move and this film that are on HBO Max. He's just making movies left and right, and he's kind of taking advantage of that streaming model. But Kimmy has Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman herself, in the lead role. And this really is a movie that kind of lives and dies on the power of the main character, because it's about a woman who's afraid to leave her own house. It's also a pandemic film. It's a COVID set movie, but not in the sense of like it's about COVID. It's just set during COVID times. So like she's an agoraphobe who doesn't want to leave her house, so she stays inside, but like people go outside and they wear masks, and it's just kind of part of the setting. So it's cool to like modernize it, but not, that's something Steven Soderbergh would do, like write a story set in the modern day with COVID as a present. But she's kind of like, she works for an Amazon type company that has like Alexa devices, but instead of Alexa, they're Kimmy devices. And then she undercovers some sort of crime happening, and then, follow from there. She kind of does software stuff. So it's cool because it's, first of all, it's prescient. It's, oh my God, Alexa devices are listening to us at all times. There's also, the thriller scariness of it. There's the COVID of it. There's a lot of cool stuff, and it's a really amazing actress at the center of it all. So check it out.
Yeah, I buy it. Yeah, I think you've talked about this one before. I don't think I've ever even seen like a trailer or anything from it, which is tough. But I mean, you throw Soderbergh and Zoe Kravitz together, like I'm down. You give me that sort of like, horror kind of like AI vibes. I like that too.
Yeah, some thriller stuff. And it's it's one of those. It's like it's a good movie, right? Like you watch it, you enjoy it. Nothing to hate, but nothing. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing of all time. Steve Soderbergh kind of produces this like not mid-level because he's very talented, but like really like solid, consistent work, and he does it always with like an interesting medium or an interesting idea around it. Like he'll shoot a movie on an iPhone, or he'll do like a weird period piece and 50s noir, and he'll have Matt Damon come in at the end. Like I don't know, and he'll do heist shit. It's fun.
I mean, Soderbergh just that track record, like you said, he can almost do anything, and I would probably still watch it. So also, he had a couple classics from that guy as well. Logan Lucky, what a film that is. But, yeah,
Daniel Craig, man. Our pick for podcast movie that's also on HBO Max is T2 Judgment Day. Not a movie I'm super high on. I like
Terminator. Korbin doesn't like any of these movies.
I like The Departed. I like T2. T2 is a good film. Some people say it's the greatest sequel of all time. So why don't you go be the judge of that? I would disagree. But
I mean, just action-wise, this movie I think is very good. And for an action movie, the story is actually, I think, like next level for how good the action is. I don't know. Dude, young John Connor as well. Great actor. Great kid actor in this movie. Arnold is Arnold, whatever.
That's the thing. I don't think you can, until you watch the first two Terminator movies, you can never really understand like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like what that is and like what that means.
Great guy, but
weirdo.
Yeah, he's whatever in this movie. But phenomenal film. James Cameron. I mean, this guy
Jim, he's back this year.
He is for whatever reason, 5 Avatar movies. But I think like his style in the 90s, I think is so fun. I think it's just one you gotta check out in your life. Why not?
Amazon Prime Time. Look at that. Speaking of the all-powerful Jeff Bezos' company, Amazon, they're always lurking. What are your thoughts on Amazon Prime, Kody? Are you a user of Amazon Prime?
I do not really use Amazon Prime. There's a lot of good stuff.
There's always like a weird thing that'll be on there, or like the Prime original is an interesting piece of content. I don't know. There's some decent movies on there.
Yeah, there's more movies than TV shows. I think I've probably only seen like, I don't even know, maybe like 5 or 10 of like total. So I didn't have that big of a pool to choose from. Yeah, I don't use this site at all, which is funny. I kind of want to hear your TV show.
You want to hear my TV show first?
I do.
It's one that I've talked about a few times, I guess, on the podcast, as just being enjoying, but it's Scrubs. So yeah, it's a classic. I've talked about it a ton, but
what else have you watched on Amazon Prime? Nothing.
TV shows?
Well, Psych, you've seen.
Psych, Invincible is good. Hell's Kitchen. You can get some Hell's Kitchen.
That's on my Amazon. I'll mention this too.
Listen, I know The Boys is something that everybody talks about, but I just haven't watched it.
I do want to watch that too. Dude, there's so much good TV.
House is on Amazon Prime.
You've seen that?
Yeah.
Why have you seen House?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's a good show. I'd recommend that. Yeah. That's my official recommendation. Since Kody doesn't want me to do Scrubs.
Okay.
I'm gonna recommend Buffy the Vampire.
Buffy off the top rope here.
Yeah. They have all 7 seasons. There's also the spinoff show Angel.
Yeah.
David Boreanaz. We have the same birthday, May 16th. So there you go. King of TV.
Oh man.
But no, actually, my sister and my mom, when I was a young child, were very big Buffy fans. Probably when it was on TV. So it was kind of in the house. We own all the seasons. My cats, my mother's cats really, are named Angel, Spike, and Buffy. Oh, yeah. So this is a serious recommendation. This actually is a decent show. It's very 90s. Our boy Joss, Kody loves him. Not a great guy in hindsight, but he did work on this show. So I don't know, there's some fun stuff in here. It's kind of spooky. Banger of a theme song. Yeah, it's a good show. Check it out.
I do kind of like Buffy.
I will say
the vibes are just immaculate for that show.
Oh yeah, Allison Hannigan too, which is that's a great. She's fantastic. Seth Green's in like a season or two. The other people are not.
Yeah,
but
it's like okay.
James Marsters plays Spike, so there you go. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I would actually recommend it. Like if you haven't,
have you seen it, Kody? Like how much? Like have you actually watched the show?
Yeah, I've seen a few seasons. I would say like if you haven't seen
scary stuff,
a couple episodes, I think you just watch it and you're just like, it's not what you expect at all. I don't think.
Very campy as well. So hinting at the TV stuff. that we were talking about, maybe this will, come back. This or Scrubs. All right, Kody, what's your TV recommendation?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, my honorable mentions for this was Hell's Kitchen and Psych. I do like both those shows a good amount.
Is Psych on Amazon Prime? That's surprising. I think it's on Peacock too.
Oh, is it? No, I'm fairly certain it's on Amazon Prime. But the show I'm going for, I think I've talked about this once, maybe.
You're
is
right.
White Collar.
Have
I talked to you about? This is actually a great show. Matt Bomer, he basically starts, and the other guy is great as well. It's basically these two guys. One of them is, this great.
Is this like he's a fake Harvard graduate or something?
No, that's Suits.
That's Suits.
Meghan Markle.
Dang. I get those confused. They're kind of the same show, though, right?
White Collar is when this forger. Go and work for the
It's
FBI.
from the same people as Psych, right?
I actually don't know, but it's actually very good. I think the first couple seasons, especially, there's like this big mystery, and then it's kind of a good reveal, and then like the I think they made like I don't even know 6 or maybe.
It was on USA Network though, right? Which is the same thing that Psych was on. I think that's what it is.
Oh, okay, it was on the same network. That's what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense. But I think like the actual intrigue of the show is very good and underrated. So that's my just throw it out there kind of random thing that I just really like. But actually a very good show, I think. So check it out.
Does it have a good ending?
I mean, it's okay. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it's not like Seinfeld out here. But it was okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Could have been better.
Better than Impractical Jokers.
Very likely. Yeah.
I'll do my movie now on Amazon Prime. And this actually is an Amazon original. So I think I mentioned it because this movie is called The Report and it stars Adam Driver. So I think I did talk about it when we did our top 5 actors. But The Report is a kind of, I guess, surprising movie maybe for Amazon to make. But it's essentially about this Senate staffer, I guess is the term for him. And basically does an investigation into the torture that we were performing on people at like Guantanamo Bay and other black site prisons. And he basically is the person who does this, creates this whole these enhanced interrogation tactics that were being used, creates a whole report, the whole torture report thing. He does the investigating. It's kind of been hidden and blacked out and then was kind of released in the press. And very interesting movie, kind of opens your eyes to the awful things that America does on a regular basis. And it's Adam Driver, who, again, I think I said this in the last podcast where we talked about it, where it's like, this is a guy who was an American soldier, someone who cared deeply about his country. Making a movie like this, it's clear he has very strong convictions about the message that it's trying to say. And good one to check out. I think
Amazon Prime actually does have quite a good selection of movies. Probably this is gonna be one of the longer honorable mention lists. I want to shout out Dallas Buyers Club, Matthew McConaughey, great movie. Fargo, Office Space, I think a very good comedy as well, which I almost thought about taking. District 9, which we've talked about before, but I like that movie a lot. And then Little Miss Sunshine, great Steve Carell. I love that movie. And then obviously The Prestige as well.
Train to Busan, Manchester by the Sea, Juno.
Oh, the list goes on and on. I haven't seen either of those. Manchester by the Sea is like next on my list, I think. But anyway, my pick is A Few Good Men, which I think is very underrated. That's why I picked it. And it's just got the iconicness, obviously, of the main line of "You can't handle the truth," which is great. Such a great moment. But Jack Nicholson,
This is great. Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah,
dude,
Tom Cruise again. From this to Top Gun is miles and miles. I don't know what he's doing in Top Gun because he's very good in this movie, I think. And then Jack Nicholson, I think one of the most underrated performances of his career as well. I think that guy's menacing as shit. And that courtroom scene is actually very intense. But this is quite a throwback at this point. When was this made? Like 95 or something? So
I feel like
it's a
91,
deal of time.
yeah.
And Tom Cruise is still a relevant actor, which is crazy. But it's an older movie. It has aged a little bit.
1992.
Yeah, 92. I mean, that's crazy for Tommy. He's still making movies like a movie star right now. I think performance-wise and story-wise, it's actually very underrated.
Aaron Sorkin.
That's true. That's, again, young Aaron Sorkin. I completely forgot about that. But, yeah, the dialogue, bro, in that court scene is gross.
Yeah, Aaron Sorkin and Rob Reiner coming back as well for the Princess Bride. So.
Rob Reiner, yeah, classic director there.
Our podcast episode that we can recommend that you can watch on Amazon Prime, Arrival. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, this guy, they're all hits, but
it's another of my rec, dude. These are literally all.
I love Arrival though. You can't. I think Arrival's fantastic.
Yeah, no, if you haven't seen that, go check out our episode on that as well. But yeah, great movie.
Amy Adams back when she was in good movies. Those were good times. Kody, moving on to Hulu. What's your TV show? I don't even know what this is. What does it say?
Oh, the first picky doesn't know of mine. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, Hulu, kind of dead right now. I could have picked How I Met Your Mother, I guess, but I literally stopped watching that show when I tried to rewatch it this last time because it was so bad. So I don't think I can pick it. But It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I haven't finished it all yet, but I'm like halfway through basically. Just like the sort of sketch comedy of like every episode, you can literally just do whatever you want and make it as dumb as possible. I like that format. And again, it's about the cast. Danny DeVito, I think, is by far the best, and that's why I used like the late edition because they need something else. I think the other three, I think Glenn Howerton in particular is actually extremely funny. But I mean, with the show as well, you never know what you're gonna get. You get the dumbest episodes, you get the funniest, you get like just the most fucked up. Like, it's a dumb show, but I feel like if you just watch like 5 episodes of it, you're gonna get something different every time. So you might as well just like try something out like that. But yeah, It's Always Sunny, Hulu classic. Like I said, Hulu, not the best TV, I don't think, but that is my pick.
I want to say there's some decent shows on Hulu. Shouts to Bob's Burgers. Cody, you're not a Bob's Burgers guy.
I've not seen Bob's Burgers. I need
Bob's
to.
Burgers actually is not too bad. Well, the movie's already out, so you're late.
Oh, I missed it already. Tough.
People like Modern Family. I can't say that I personally am attracted to that. Okay. I think Hulu has like Law and Order on it or something. Yeah, Handmaid's Tale. I mean, we're basically living in that right now, so I don't know if that's really something you want to watch. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, again, also not necessarily something you want to glorify right now. I have heard that, first of all, Abbott Elementary, I've heard very good things about that show. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's on Hulu. Also, a new show, The Bear, that's out. I've heard decent things about. But my suggestion is something that I guess I've talked about before, but it's Atlanta. It's that FX crossover with Hulu. That's why it's on Hulu. Season 3 is over. Fantastic show. Obviously, I'm a huge Donald Glover fan, whether he's acting or writing music or singing or rapping or directing or producing, whatever it is. I love Donald Glover, and I think the show is really fantastic. Great writing, kind of unlike anything else that's on television. It's really interesting blend of the Atlanta hip hop scene and Afro surrealism, and it's really cool stuff. And it's unique, and people are trying to emulate it, I think. And Zazie Beetz is fantastic. Brian Tyree Henry, Lakeith Stanfield, one of my favorite actors. Crazy cast. That's the thing. It's like, I mean, these people did this show first, and then they got big because of how good this show was, and Emmy award winning television. Zazie Beetz is my new Dave Bautista, isn't she? I'm pretty sure. It's supposed to be. You haven't really been. You kind of went back to it. Yeah. The Kardashians. Brian Tyree Henry and Lakeith Stanfield as well, though, just like supporting characters, like in that point in their career, is crazy. Season 3 is finished, but season 4 should be coming soon. There you go. Good luck. It's your movie, Kody. Yeah, my movie for Hulu. Again, I don't know if the best selection here. So I have talked about most of these movies before. Booksmart, obviously great. Go check out that episode. And then Logan Lucky. I already mentioned this episode, but phenomenal Soderbergh film. My pick, however, is going to be Looper, which I'll tell you what, is a movie I did not expect to like as much as I did. And mostly because every Rian Johnson movie I'd seen before then was kind of shit. Knives Out, I do like that movie, but the first, Looper, I think is. You just don't like The Last Jedi. Well, yeah. God, that movie sucks. But anyways, Looper, I think, again, performances, but the like sci-fi aspect of it is actually very interesting. And you get a good Bruce Willis, which is surprising out of it as well. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's got something going on with his face, not too sure. And then you throw in a surprise Emily Blunt with a, psychopath kid with, kinetic superpowers. Actually super fun. She's good. Sci-fi. Yeah. Emily Blunt. And I didn't even know she was in it the first time I saw it, which is awesome. Yeah, I think just the sci-fi
time travel aspect just thrown into a universe where this kid is going to rule the world and be the worst person ever because he has superpowers. I think that's a really fun story and actually like good writing from Rian Johnson. So maybe he's not a terrible director. Obviously, Knives Out, 2 out of 3 I've seen from him has been good, but just that one, man, you can't get past it.
Knives Out is fantastic. That's one of my top movies ever, man. I love Knives Out.
Yeah, I need to rewatch it. I think it's good. I think it's a little overrated from that standpoint.
Glass Onion coming out this year. New Rian Johnson Knives Out movie. So there you go, Kody.
That's it.
My Hulu selection, which I probably should double check and make sure is actually still on Hulu, but it's a Hulu original. So yeah, it's Plan B. It's very much in the vein of a Booksmart or a Superbad. It's kind of like that. It's the two girls thing. But what happens in this movie is essentially these two young girls. There's a party. One of them has sex with somebody. They realize that they need to get some Plan B contraceptive pills. They can't get them in the state they're in, which again, this is prescient to modern society, I guess, but they have to go across state lines to go get a Plan B pill. And it's just this fun, like buddy comedy movie, road trip, coming of age, finding love in a hopeless place. And I actually prefer it to Booksmart, to be entirely honest with you. Hot take. Some people will say it's a bit of a ripoff of it, but I think it's better. I think it's funnier. And go check it out. If you like Booksmart, you'll probably like this movie.
Good, Rick. Haven't seen it, but yeah, if it's anything like Booksmart, can't go wrong.
And heading over to our podcast movie, Palm Springs. Good. Okay. Hey, I guess we're going for the double Andy Samberg in this episode, but Andy Samberg and the mom from How I Met Your Mother, what was her name? Yeah. Kristen Milioti, is that her name?
Kristen. I would say that's probably not it.
Milioti. So I think that's right. Milioti. And no, this is a fun time loop movie. It's kind of in the air of Groundhog Day, rom-com movie, but set in Palm Springs, California, which is better than fucking Puxatawny, Pennsylvania. To be entirely honest.
Debatable, but it also has J.K. Simmons in it.
Yes, in a very fun J.K. Simmons having fun role. So good episode too, early episode, but yeah, Palm Springs, good movie. Yeah,
that actually is a good episode. I'd recommend that one for us as well. But
we wouldn't recommend the other ones. But
yeah, Palm probably Springs. Not. But no, I think Palm Springs is actually a pretty underrated movie as well. Again, it is very rewatchable. I've watched it a couple times after we did the episode. Actually, just a lot of fun. But Andy Samberg, he's okay. I like the mother from How I Met Your Mother more, but he's good.
All right. Moving on to our last streaming service before we hit some wildcard picks. It's Paramount Plus. Now, this was the one that I wasn't really sure to include. It's kind of on the fringe of them all, but we have been kind of using it a lot recently, or I've been at least using it a lot recently. And I figured it's probably this or Apple TV Plus that are like on the fifth of everybody's streaming kind of locations. So we went Paramount Plus. Kody, what's your TV show? I was going to suggest it, but then you decided to suggest it too. So what is it?
I didn't even do any, I didn't look what was on Paramount Plus other than the TV show that I picked and the movie I picked. I picked Survivor, obviously. What else am I going to watch on Paramount Plus? That's a joke. Absolute joke. Survivor. I don't think we ever talked about it on the show, actually. Do you know Korbin? But
you like Survivor, Kody?
Heck of a program. I'd highly recommend it.
Give it for a new watcher. Give them
very good.
Give them your 3 seasons to watch.
Okay, I like that. First off, Cagayan, my favorite season.
28.
Ridiculously fun. Well, I would say Survivor Day versus Goliath is an easy pick there as well.
37, I think.
Yeah, very, very recent, honestly. But I think that might be the best newbie beginner season. So I back that. I'd probably just throw in the first season just so understand everything. And that is such a fun season with Wigglesworth and Sue and I mean the whole alliance. Richard Hatch obviously wins season, but just that core alliance I think is so fun.
I think season 1's kind of mid. That's my take. If you're gonna go for season 1's not that great.
Yeah, but it's the classic. You gotta understand what's going on. Then I think you have to watch that eventually. You might as well start off with it just so everything makes sense. And it's actually really good. The final tribal council is iconic. Everybody still knows that.
Survivor, yeah, it's fun. Find an old season. They would do anything on television back in the day. You can. People are always off just having sex. It's pretty funny, to be honest. let's move on. And here's my thing, Kody. I actually did do research, and I said, what television shows do they have, like, for real, on
You're
Paramount
not going to
Plus?
pick Survivor?
And there's not there's not many. Shout outs to iCarly, the new one. I haven't watched it.
Nope.
There's like 5 Star Trek shows of the 20.
There's a lot.
And then Criminal Minds and NCIS, which Blue Buds. I'm not really into that. Hawaii Five-0. I'm about to list them all at this point. Big Brother, RuPaul, FBI, Bar Rescue,
I like
1883, Ink Master, Challenge All Stars, Evil, and of course SpongeBob SquarePants, which is going to be my recommendation. All-time classic. I mean, who didn't grow up watching SpongeBob? It's interesting to see what like the first season of SpongeBob looked like. It was wild. There's some some classic episodes in there too. The pizza delivery, episode 5 of season 1, 1999. Kody, you were barely alive when that episode came out. And there's a total of 12 seasons on here. So I used to own the SpongeBob box sets. I have like the first 3 seasons at the house. Some classic stuff, man. Like the nematodes. You remember those?
I never really watched SpongeBob, dude.
Well, you can now you could relive your childhood. What's your movie recommendation, Kody?
Again, no research done here, but it's Star Trek.
It is on there. Did you do that research?
I'm like 99% sure. But again, I've talked about this movie before, but again with Looper, sci-fi classic. This is its own grade above Looper, I think, especially from a Star Trek fan standpoint. But I mean, this is J.J. Abrams just auditioning to make a Star Wars movie, because this is better than anything we got in his new Star Wars movies. Just because, like, dude, the cast, but fucking Chris Pine, Zachary Quinn was actually very good.
Kody, this movie's now on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, it is.
Cody, it's not.
I actually checked.
It's not. Check right now.
Okay, what are you watching on then? You don't know.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're keeping most of that in. That's fucking bullshit. So Paramount Plus movies, right, Korbin? That's what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, Kody tried to recommend Star Trek.
This is a past indication of, some sus things with that. Anyways, what are we talking about? Paramount Plus? Yeah, so they got great movies. Star Trek Into Darkness, definitely an honorable mention. But yeah, doing no research, I picked Mean Girls. I do like Mean Girls actually a good amount. Obviously, it kind of led to bad things for its main star. She's kind of tough, Lindsay Lohan, but she's very good in this, I think. Probably her only, like, very good performance. But I think it's just a classic comedy. You can't really go wrong with this. Again, super quotable. The characters, I mean, you get the iconic Regina George as well, which is just so hateable. But I think overall, like, it's actually pretty good for what it is. So, instead of Into Darkness, it was a tough choice between those two. But ended up on Mean Girls. Korbin, you like Mean Girls? I think
Mean Girls is a pretty good selection. I like Mean Girls. Yeah. That's fun.
It's pretty fetch, bro.
Wear pink on Wednesdays, man. Our last movie of the streaming service debacle, which is a movie that is actually on the streaming service, believe it or not. So go check out Catch Me If You Can on Paramount Plus. I was kind of surprised to see this movie on there, to be entirely honest. But
yeah, good movie.
I mean, this is my favorite movie of all time. If we're throwing it out there. I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg. It's a story about a guy who wrote a book about how he conned everyone, but then it turns out the book was all a lie too. He didn't even do any of this stuff.
That is crazy.
And Amy Adams again. So
Amy Adams, I was gonna say that. Can't go wrong with an early Amy Adams performance, especially in this quality movie. But yeah, no, Leo and
mice.
And a great line and just walking. He's just in like one scene too.
Great cast. Into a bucket of cream.
That's how it goes.
Our podcast recommendation to wrap these things up is Interstellar, which is not a movie. Here's this is a Korbin recommendation because Kody doesn't like this movie, but it is on Paramount Plus. So if you have Paramount Plus, you can go check out Interstellar. So shall I run through all of our main recommendations, Kody?
Sure. I did want to say one thing about Interstellar. I would recommend to check it out just so you can go and watch our pod on it, because that's a great pod.
Yeah. Aiden Cotter, man.
Not a good movie, but yeah.
So first, we'll start off with Netflix. The 2 TV shows we're recommending are Sex Education and Seinfeld. And then the movies we're recommending are Happy Gilmore, The Departed, and Hunt for the Wilder People.
For Disney Plus, for TV shows, we got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Miss Marvel. And then our recs for the movies, X-Men, Days of Future Past, great film. Then Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And then, our pod pick, Princess Bride.
For HBO Max, a lot of great content over there. For TV, we went Peacemaker and Impractical Jokers, movies, Chef, Kimmy, and then T2 for the pod rec.
For Amazon Prime for TV, we got White Collar and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Then movie recs, A Few Good Men, The Report, and the pod pick Arrival.
For Hulu, our movies were Plan B, Palm Springs, and Looper. And our TV shows were It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Atlanta.
And then lastly, for Paramount Plus, great network. For TV, we had SpongeBob, and then, of course, Survivor. Then our movie picks, Mean Girls, Catch Me If You Can, and for some reason, the pod pick Interstellar.
There's not a lot of things that are on Paramount Plus, unfortunately.
not a great
favorite streaming service.
Yeah.
Now we also have some wild card picks that we want to throw out there, Kody. So first one I'll hit us with is Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now this is not a movie you can stream right now. Right now you can see it in some theaters. You can also pay $20 to purchase it, like on YouTube or on Amazon Prime. But on July 5th, so just a few days after this comes out, it will be available to rent. So you can Redbox it, you can rent it on Amazon Prime, you can rent it on Vudu. Kody and I saw this movie together in theaters. We talked about it a little bit. Fantastic. My favorite movie of the year by far. Fantastic movie. One of the best new movies I've seen in a long time. And check it out. It'll be available, and definitely rent it. It's a fun. It's a love story a little bit. It's a sci-fi. It's really good. It's a multiverse movie, comedy, action, martial arts.
Can't go wrong really there. Yeah. I mean, I'd say it's a better multiverse movie than the other one.
Easy.
By a good amount. But definitely good, little film I go check out. The cast, again, Michelle Yeoh, unbelievably good in that movie, I think.
Ki Kwan.
Yeah, and his return, I think, is very cool. His story, especially.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. It's the one Kody struggles to say, but
yeah, that's true. Notice I didn't try to say it.
Kody, you got any wild card picks for us?
I got a couple. First off, I got to shout out one of the great sci-fi films of this generation, Star Trek 09. You really can't beat that all around, and you can't watch on Paramount Plus. That stuff.
I'll insert your Star Trek thing.
There you go. There you go. Actually do that. Nah. It's actually on Paramount Plus. That's KHAP. Anyways, Zoe Saldana is great in this movie. The music is unbelievable. The action.
Cody.
Hero. Fire everything. Fucking
talk
iconic.
About Star Trek Into Darkness. That's all.
We don't talk about that. That one's probably on Paramount Plus too. But
it is, but Star Trek isn't.
You're telling me Into Darkness is on there, but Star Trek isn't?
Yes,
that makes no sense.
You need to pick a different movie.
It's actually out there. You're actually capping. But
Cody,
Star Trek 09. Go watch it, dude. If you've not seen that movie, what are you doing? Another pick, it's on Peacock. It's The Office. Obviously, I just want to say it's absolute shambles right now that Netflix does not have The Office. Kind of embarrassing, if I'm being honest. But great ass series, obviously. My favorite.
Can you watch The Office for free?
I think you watch like the first 4 seasons or something. But I mean, if I'm getting that deep, I'm just gonna pay for Peacock, which I do. So that's tough.
Fair enough. I do have the free version of Peacock, and there are a lot of things you can watch on there without paying for it. So
Peacock's actually not bad. We pretty should have Peacock instead of Paramount Plus. But yeah, that's pretty much my own 2 recs.
I got a couple others. First of all, speaking of a Peacock recommendation, horror movie Sinister. I mean, a lot of people have probably seen that. I watched it for the first time recently. It's topical because The Black Phone, Ethan Hawke is Scott Derrickson's movie with Ethan Hawke. Sinister is a Scott Derrickson movie with Ethan Hawke. It's a scary movie, but you can watch it on Peacock. So if you want to be scared, check it out. Sinister 2 on Netflix, not as good. Another one, Cha Cha Real Smooth, which is a movie I said I was very excited to see, is now out on Apple TV Plus. I haven't got a chance to talk about it, but it's very good. It is a sophomore film from Cooper Raiff. Again, a top movie from this year for me. Really good stuff. Dakota Johnson is fun and really cool movie. So check that out on Apple TV Plus.
Nice.
Also, if you want to go to Showtime, if you have Showtime, first of all, they have all the A24 movies. So there's everything you can see there. And then, but Spotlight is on there, and that's a Best Picture winner from a few years ago. Michael Keaton's in it, Mark Ruffalo. Really important movie to watch, I think. And yeah, Spotlight's fantastic. If you haven't seen that. And then the last one, Kody, are you familiar with the streaming service Shudder?
Actually, yeah, I saw that you written that down, but I have no idea what Shudder is.
So Shudder is actually a streaming service that is entirely made for horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a 7-day trial. Check it out. If you're a horror person and you want to watch some scary stuff, it's got classics. It's got stuff like The Thing, Halloween, Poltergeist, but it's also got a lot of new Shudder originals. If you remember that Color of Space or whatever movie with Nicolas Cage that was on Framed a few weeks back, that was like a Shudder original Nicolas Cage movie. He has a couple.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Mad God, which is Phil Tippett, and he did a ton of visual effects works for like the original Jurassic Park. Like he did all the Raptors motion animatronic stuff. He did stuff on the Star Wars, Jabba stuff, Rancor. He worked on a lot of old films. But Mad God is this movie that he's been making for like 30 years. And it's like pretty much stop motion animation, but it's just like really grotesque and weird stop motion animation. And there's some like filmed real stuff in it, but the dude's been making this. It's like his passion project that he's been making for 30 years. And it's all these crazy creatures and design and things that he's created. And it's this weird story. There's no dialogue or anything in it. It's just music track and the stop motion. It is weird and creepy. And it's a lot. I can't even really express my opinion on it, but I would say check it out. It's something interesting. It's expanding the genre of like what is a movie, right?
That's crazy, right? I actually might have to go watch that based off what you said.
And you can get a free 7-day trial, and then you can check out some other scary movies in your free time.
True. That actually sounds like a decent streaming.
And it's also like movies like 87 minutes. I think it's short. It's not a slog to get through by any means. Yeah. You can watch it.
Only an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
Of nothing. I'm here for it. I actually want to watch that.
It's weird.
That sounds very interesting.
The plot, I mean, it's essentially like this guy goes down into this like hellscape and this weird world, and where this monster rules, and
there's no dialogue.
And, yeah, but there's a storyline.
That's good.
It's like an animated film, but it's gross.
Yeah, that's the other interesting part about it. But
it's not for children. Any other final recommendations, Kody?
No, we got to end it on that one.
How about I read you the 28 movies I've watched since that podcast episode, and we'll just say recommend yes or no. And you have, even if you haven't seen it, you have to say yes or no. Okay.
Okay.
Jurassic Park 3.
Yes.
Hercules.
Yeah.
Crimes of the Future 1970.
No,
don't do it.
I don't know what that is.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
No,
definitely not. Swan Song. Mahershala Ali, Apple TV Plus, in a leading role where he plays himself.
I like Mahershala Ali.
He doesn't play himself. He plays two versions of the same character. Swan Song. Yes, check it out.
Sure.
Jurassic World Dominion.
No.
I'd say check it out, actually. It's not terrible.
No.
Cha-Cha Real Smooth, yes. Encanto.
Sure.
I'm not an Encanto fan. The Card Counter.
Sure.
Yeah. HBO Max. Paul Schrader. Oscar Isaac. It's okay. Cha-Cha Real Smooth again. Watched it twice. Yeah, watched it twice.
I was gonna say what?
I'd recommend watching it 2 times. Yeah.
Jesus.
Reminiscence.
What is that?
It's that Hugh Jackman Inception knockoff that came out last year.
Oh, yeah, I'd watch that. Hugh Jackman.
Not bad, actually. It's just kind of a weird movie. Inception. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
Navalny. This is an HBO Max documentary that I would actually recommend you should check out. It's about basically Putin tried to kill this guy in Russia, and they discovered it. It's pretty interesting. It's not a good sell, but basically a main political adversary to Vladimir Putin was poisoned, and then they made this whole documentary about the investigation of who poisoned him, and they basically did figure out it was Putin. And
oh my God,
not to spoil it, there's a really great moment where they figure out who the people are that did it, and they're prank calling them, and the guy they poison calls him, and he pretends to be like his superior, and the guy admits to everything
Really?
that happened, and like how they did the poisoning and the underwear and how they cleaned his clothes afterwards. And the dude then went back to Russia and got arrested and is now in jail.
Wow.
Because it's Russia. But it's a very interesting documentary that just came out like 2 weeks ago. So check that out on HBO Max.
That actually
The Butterfly Effect. No, don't watch that. That movie's bad. That movie sucks. The Black Phone. Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, Cricket. Ethan.
Crush. That's on Hulu. It's a Hulu original movie. No,
Sure.
Don't watch
I
it.
haven't seen it.
Lightyear.
Probably not. It looks okay.
It's not that great. Sex Appeal, another Hulu original.
Sure.
Definitely not. Don't watch
I
it.
don't know.
My new least favorite movie, I think.
Jeez. You got a lot of those though.
Mad God. Yes. Check that out.
Oh yeah.
Spree. Are you familiar with Spree, Kody?
Joe Keery.
I'd say check it out. It's
Joe
not a
Keery.
good, it's a bad movie by all means, but there's some things they do in it with technology and like streaming and Reddit and 4chan and stuff that is actually very accurate and well written and well done. The movie itself is not very good, but it has a good understanding of like youth culture. Adventureland. You ever seen that?
I have actually. I actually like that movie a lot.
Yeah, recommend it. Jesse Eisenberg, Kristen Stewart, Pulp Fiction. You ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's probably a rec for me.
Yeah, good one. Margin Call. Not great.
Well, I haven't heard of it.
Penn Badgley. Elvis is it's interesting. It's Baz Luhrmann doing Baz Luhrmann. The Big Short, Kody.
Won't watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch Elvis.
Yeah.
Big Short, great movie.
You watched that recently?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sinister.
I haven't seen it.
Check it out. American Ultra.
I haven't seen that either.
That's okay. It's actually better than I watched it. Well, I started to watch it once in high school and I fell asleep within like 15 minutes. But it's actually not as bad as you might expect. It's decent. Sinister 2.
Sure.
Not as good. It's not great. And then last movie that I watched other than the Adam Sandler special, Easy A. I love him. I love Easy A. I think Easy A is fantastic. It's on Hulu, so
I do like that movie. That's a rec for me too.
Well, that's our episode. If you stuck around this long,
this is a hell of an episode. I'll tell you what.
Hell of an episode. Yeah. Peace be with you.
Stay capping.
What you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.